Good day, everyone. This is your captain speaking. And today we will be taking a look at a woman whom many scholars and historians have praised for her bravery, her cunning, and her gallantry. So weigh anchor, hoist the mizzen, and prepare for war, lads, because today we're delving into the history of Artemisia the First of Caria to discover the lady behind the legend. Artemisia was born sometime in the 5th century BC in the ancient Greek city-state of Halicarnassos in the region of Caria. She was the daughter of Halicarnassos' governor Ligdamis and a woman from the Isle of Crete. At some points in her life she would marry, and later give birth to a son named Pisandelis. Her husband ruled Caria until his death, and their son, who was still a young child at the time of the king's death, was too young to take the throne. Thus it fell to Artemisia to lead their people as queen. There is little information about her rule before her participation at the Battle of Salamis in the year 480 BC. The battle was fought in the straits between the mainland and the island of Salamis near Athens. The defending Greek forces were led by the Spartan commander Eurybiades and the Athenian commander Themistocles, while the invading Persian forces were under the command of King of Kings Xerxes I and his generals, the latter including Artemisia the First of Caria. Prior to the Battle of Salamis, an army of 300 Spartans and roughly 7,000 other Greeks under the command of King Leonidas I engaged the Persian ground forces at Thermopylae. At the same time, the Athenian navy fought the Persian navy at the Battle of Artemisium. Thermopylae was a devastating loss for the Greeks, with King Leonidas and his 300 Spartans being annihilated. In total, 4,000 Greeks gave their lives in the battle. At Artemisium, the Greeks managed to fight the Persians to a stalemate, but suffered heavy losses, resulting in a tactical victory for the Persians. These victories would allow the Persian army to go on to conquer Phocis, Boeotia, Attica, and Euboea, while the Greek ground forces dug in to defend the Isthmus of Corinth and the navy regrouped at Salamis. It was from Salamis that Themistocles convinced the other Greeks to engage the Persians once more. Themistocles purposely leaked the location of the Athenian fleet to Xerxes by directly sending him a letter containing the information, and Xerxes, eager for battle, ordered his fleet towards Salamis, despite Artemisia advising her lord against this course of action. Many years after the battle, Artemisia's warning to Xerxes is detailed in an account by Herodotus as being thus, quote, "Tell the king to spare his ships and not to do battle. For our enemies are much stronger than us in the sea, as men are to women. And why does he need to risk a naval battle? Athens, for which he did undertake this expedition, is his, and the rest of Hellas too. No man can stand against him, and they who once resisted were destroyed." If Xerxes chooses not to rush into a naval encounter, but instead keeps his ships close to the shore, and either stays there or moves them toward the Peloponnese, victory will be his. The Hellenes cannot hold out against him for long. They will leave for their cities, for they do not have food in store upon this island, as I have learned. And when our army will march against the Peloponnese, they who have come from there shall become worried, and they will not stay here to fight to defend Athens. But if he hurries to engage, I am afraid that the navy will be defeated, and the land forces will be weakened as well. In addition, he should also consider that he has certain untrustworthy allies, like the Egyptians, the Cyprians, the Cilicians, and the Pamphylians, who are all completely useless." End quote. While Xerxes held Artemisia in high regard and greatly appreciated her counsel, he would disregard her advice and give the order to attack Salamis. Believing that his naval commanders had acted with cowardice at Artemisium due to his not being present to keep them in order, this time he would bear witness to the battle himself and inspire his soldiers to bravery. It should be noted that Plutarch, in his work On the Malice of Herodotus, wrote that he believed Herodotus invented Artemisia's warning to Xerxes in order to make her appear as a sibyl or oracle, prophesying the manner of things to come. In September of 480 BC, the Battle of Salamis commenced, with Artemisia leading the forces of Halicarnassos, Kos, Nisirios, and Kalindos. Her 5 ships were of the highest regard in the navy, second only to those from Sidon. During the battle, as the Persians were facing defeat, a Greek ship gave chase to the ship which Artemisia was boarded on, cornering her between itself and her allies, cutting off her escape. Artemisia ordered her Persian banners torn down and commanded her ship to ram one of her allies. The ship she struck was one of the Kalindians, and the king of Kalindos, Damasithemos, was on board. Seeing this action, the Athenian ship broke off pursuit, instead going after one of the other Persian vessels, perhaps believing that Artemisia had deserted the Persians and begun fighting for Greece. It is believed by Herodotus that the commander of the Athenian vessel must not have known that Artemisia was on board the ship he was chasing, else he would not have broken pursuit, as they had been given orders to capture her alive. Observing from the foot of Mount Aegaleo, Xerxes bore witness to the incident, and he and the others present with him mistakenly believed that Artemisia had attacked and destroyed a Greek ship, with one of them reportedly saying, "Master, see Artemisia, how well she is fighting, and how she sank even now a ship of the enemy." To which Xerxes replied, "My men have become women, and my women men." None of the crew of the Kalindian ship survived the encounter with Artemisia. The Battle of Salamis would end in defeat for the Persians, and despite this, Artemisia was greatly praised for her bravery and valor in battle. There is also a passage written by Plutarch in his work Parallel Lives that says Artemisia recognized the body of Xerxes' brother, who had been the admiral of the Persian fleet, floating dead in the water. She had it fished out and personally brought it back to Xerxes. Following the battle, Xerxes would say that Artemisia had excelled far above and beyond all of his other generals, and would reward her and the captain of her ship with a suit of full Greek armor and a distaff and spindle, respectively. Following this, Xerxes laid before Artemisia 2 courses of action, and asked her advice on how he should proceed. Should he personally lead his armies to Peloponnese, or should he withdraw back to Asia Minor and leave his general Mardonios in command? Artemisia recommended the latter option, agreeing with Mardonios' own suggestion to remain with 300,000 soldiers to continue the fight against the Greeks. Her reply, according to Herodotus, was thus: "I think that you should retire and leave Mardonios behind with those whom he desires to have. If he succeeds, the honor will be yours, because your slaves have performed it. If, on the other hand, he fails, it would be no great matter, as you would be safe, and no danger threatens anything that concerns your house. And while you will be safe, the Greeks will have to pass through many difficulties for their own existence. In addition, if Mardonios were to suffer a disaster, who would care? He is just your slave, and the Greeks will have but a poor triumph. As for yourself, you will be going home with the object of your campaign accomplished, for you have burned Athens." Xerxes followed her advice and returned home to Persia. Before departing, Herodotus writes that he sent her to Ephesus to care for his illegitimate children, though Plutarch, in On the Malice of Herodotus, mocks this record, saying that Xerxes would have no doubt brought women with him from Susa in case his sons were in need of female attendants. The date and manner of Artemisia's death is unknown. There is a legend that claims she fell in love with a man from the city of Abydos by the name of Dardanos. But when Dardanos ignored her, she blinded him in his sleep. Despite her cruel actions, her love for him remained and grew. In order to free herself from this love, she went to an oracle, who told her to jump from the rock of Lucas, as all those who did so would be freed from the passion of love. Artemisia did this, falling to her death. Whether this account of her death is true or not remains unknown, though it is likely only a legend. The Greek historian Herodotus had a largely favorable opinion of Artemisia, praising her for her decisiveness, intelligence, and bravery, and put great emphasis on her influence over Xerxes. Contrarily, a son of the famous Greek physician Hippocrates once described her as a cowardly pirate. In the modern age, Artemisia's influence and legacy still remains. Several ships have been named after her, from the Iranian destroyer the Artemis to the Greek ferry boat the Artemisia. She has been portrayed several times in film, most prominently in the 1962 film The 300 Spartans, where she is played by Anne Wakefield, and in the 2014 film 300 Rise of an Empire, where she is portrayed by French actress and model Eva Green. Despite the little that is known of her life outside the Battle of Salamis, this event alone has more than cemented Artemisia I of Caria forever in the annals of history. Thank you all for watching. This has been an episode of Lady Behind the Legend. Once again, I am your host, Captain Crow's Eye. Please leave a like and a comment if the mood strikes you, and God's willing, I'll see you all next time. Farewell.